Good morning. मेरो स्क्रिन आयो सबैलाई? सबैले देखेछ मेरो स्क्रिन?
देखेछ।
देखेछ? सो मैले यो टिम्समा विजयले आफ्नो ग्रुपको बनाइसकेछ है। आफ्नो ग्रुपको डिस्कसन एउटा के हो यो टिम बनाइसकेछ है। सो विजयले कसरी बनाएको यो भनेर सिकाइदेऊ नि त, अनि तिम्रो अनि अरू ग्रुप मेम्बरले पनि यस्तै बनाउन मिल्छ नि। Vijay? So this is a team made by Vijay and his group. So Vijay is the owner of this team, your discussion team. And he's sharing उसले के सर्च गरेछ भनेर उसले यहाँ शेयर गरेछ. So I want all the other groups as well to make this एउटा discussion एउटा page बनाउने है. So I can see here that there's 4 members. मैले अघि कहाँ हो देखेको थिएँ. So manage team. So there's उसको team members. So अर्को एकजना खोइ त, 3 जना मात्रै भयो त. So विजय, अपिल, विश्वास अनि अर्को को छ तिमीहरूको ग्रुपमा? ईश्वर. So ईश्वरलाई पनि एड गर्नु पर्यो है यो ग्रुपमा. सो यस्तै गरेर अरू ग्रुपहरूले पनि बनाउन यस्तो. विजय, are you there? मेरो सोर्स राम्रोसँग आएको छैन क्या हो. सो अब हिजो त्यो च्याटमा कोले अब आफ्नो टिम मेम्बर्सको नाम दियो नि. आई थिङ्क whoever's written the group members names, I think they are the maybe group leader होला हैन. So जिता ग्रुपको चाहिँ अब जिता लिडर भयो. सो समीक्षाको ग्रुपको चाहिँ समीक्षा लिडर भयो हैन. अनि सन्देश देवकोटाको सन्देश देवकोटा लिडर भयो. सो देयर अनि त्यसपछि सन्देश सुवेदीको ग्रुप छ. सो सन्देश सुवेदी लिडर भयो. सो तेज बहादुरको ग्रुपमा तेज बहादुर. सो कपिल पोखरेलको ग्रुपमा कपिल हैन. सो तिमीहरूले चाहिँ सो तिमीहरू जसले यहाँ नाम लेखेछ नि आफ्नो ग्रुप मेम्बर्सको, आई थिङ्क what you can do is go to this area and I think you can join or create a team. I think you have to do this, right? So you join or create a team and then create team. I know. So this is what you need to do, I think. So this is a class. So what it involves is discussions, group projects, or assignments. So that's the main thing we are going to do. So group leader le आफ्नो आफ्नो नाम लेखेर, so suppose for example it's my team हैन, so Dia's group लेख्ने है, so तिमीहरुले पनि आफ्नो आफ्नो लिडरले आफ्नो आफ्नो नाम लेख्ने ग्रुप अनि TC1 लेख है. So do this and then next गरेर अब next गरे नि I think के हुन्छ त्यहाँ मेम्बर्सहरु add गर्नु, so I can add members हैन. So teacher मा so you can add so मेरो चाहिँ dia.lama हो है, at the rate चाहिँ अब तिमीहरुको सेम हुन्छ. So students चाहिँ obviously तिम्रो team members को email address, so that's not the Gmail address, it requires this thing, यो teams को address चाहिन्छ हैन. So after you add and then you have to click next, so that मैले just skip गरे, तिमीहरुले चाहिँ you have to do next. So I will delete this. So please सबैजनाले यस्तो गर है, so that I can have all the groups here in my teams हैन. So यो विजयको ग्रुपले पनि आफ्नो नाम चाहिँ के राख भने विजय's group अनि TC लेखे हुन्छ है. सबैले त्यस्तो गर so that I can see what you're working on. So I need similar to this. अब यो विजयको ग्रुपमा पनि विजयले मात्रै यहाँ पठाछ है. So I want all the members to search for articles and search for something of जे भयो भने, so that I can see that you are working in a group है. So सबैले बुझ्यो? कसैलाई क्वेशन छ भने भन. कसैलाई क्वेशन छ मैले भर्खर के भनेको? So if you guys have any question about त्यो टिम कसरी बनाउने कन्फ्युजन भयो भने सोध है. अनि यो क्लास पछि चाहिँ बनाइहाल है आफ्नो टिम मेम्बर्सलाई हालेर. सो आज चाहिँ अब लेट्स नट वेस्ट मोर टाइम, आई वान्ट टु कन्टिन्यू दिस लेक्चर है. Is everyone seeing the screen as well as hearing my voice? सबैजनाले सुनिरहेछ होला नि. Yes, no, के हो? No.
Yes, ma'am.
सुनिरहेछ? अलिसाले मात्रै सुनेछ, अरु कसैले सुनेको छैन क्या? So where is everyone else? So Jita group ले बनाइसक्यो है. So very good. So she's got 4 members as well as me. So total 5 members है. So सबैजनाले यसरी बनाऊ है. अनि so 12 attendees today. I hope everyone is hearing me even though you're not saying yes or no. I'm going to continue this, right? So continuing with the unit 6, I mean unit 5 some we have already finished. I think we finished it before दशैं तिहार हलिडेज है. त्यसपछि हामी असाइनमेन्ट डिस्कसन गर्यो, त्यसपछि म 2 हप्ता म बिरामी नै भए, and then we are here now with unit 6, but unit 6 and unit 7 is very very short है. So it's basic information. अहिलेसम्म तिमीहरुलाई अब टेक्निकल कम्युनिकेसन सब्जेक्टमा तिमीहरुलाई न्यू थिङ भनेको अहिलेसम्मको युनिट 5 सम्म मात्रै होला, किनभने युनिट 6 देखि इट्स अल अबाउट, I feel it's about common sense and तिमीहरुले अलरेडी गरिसकेको कुराहरु नै पढ्छौ. So obviously editing is common sense. If you write something, if you do some technical documents, if you write any technical writing, you have to edit whatever you've written. Obviously, you have to check, you have to edit, right? So similar with your assignments. Assignment if you want, you can give me to have a look at it so that I can give you feedbacks. So I'm giving you feedback. So I'm like editor obviously you are the people who will edit it, but I'm like a yo गर भन्ने मान्छे चाहिँ म भयो हैन. So if I say something to you guys about your assignments, then अब मैले यो भएन यो एड गर त्यो एड गर भन्यो भने कि त English is not good, change the grammar यसो भन्यो भने I am telling you to edit few things in your assignment, हैन. So even the assignment is a technical writing you have prepared. So obviously if I say something, if I give feedback, then I hope that, I don't know if you will fix it or not, but I hope that you guys will fix according to my feedbacks. And when you fix those documents, you are doing what? Obviously, you are editing. So even without my feedback, suppose I say that I'm not going to give feedbacks, obviously you as a team, as a group, assignment, and then what do you do at the end? I'm sure you guys check, so you guys check, actually thoroughly check and then if you find any mistakes, obviously you will edit it. So that's what technical communication editing is. So it's just editing what you have already written, right? So very basic common thing. It's very easy to understand. So introduction about technical communication editing. So after writing materials, it may contain mistakes. So of course, no one is perfect. No one's work is 100% correct. So obviously it will contain mistakes. So or it may be understood differently by the audience. So तिमीले एउटा कुरा लेख्न खोजेको हुन्छ होला, audience ले अर्कै तरिकाले बुझ्न सक्छ हैन. So sometimes that may happen. So if that's the case, then if it's not portraying what you want your communication, what you want your document to portray, then तिमीले जसको जुन audience को लागि लेखेको उनीहरुले the correct way ma बुझेन भने obviously you have to edit your document. So even that's another case where you might have to edit your document. So after writing materials, it may contain mistakes or it may be understood differently by the audience. So editing technical documents is important. So one of these cases, so if it contains mistakes, yes, you have to edit. So if it is not showing what you need, what you wanted to show you to your audience, what you wanted your audience to read, then you have to edit. So if it's giving a different meaning than what you wanted your document to mean, then you have to edit it. So editing technical documents is important. So its aim is to communicate technical information clearly. So obviously you want your document to be clear to your audience. You want your document to be without any mistakes. So its aim, so editing aim is to communicate technical information clearly. So roles of technical editor, tasks performed by editor, and proofreading. So these are the things we will learn in this unit. So roles of technical editor. What roles does a technical editor have? So next is task performed by editor. So what are the things the editor does? And then finally proofreading. So even this is a kind of editing with reverser. So we will learn about these three in this unit, right? So macro editing. So this is a using roles of technical editor ma parcha hai. So macro editing. So macro editing भनेको चाहिँ के हो त अब? So what does macro editing do? It checks the content of the material, how it is organized, and its logic. So before editing, obviously, तिमीहरूले suppose you are editor, so before you give feedback or before you edit something, you have to check the content of the material. So whatever is written, you have to check it and how it is organized. So how the document is written, how the document is, if the document is clear, if the document is fluent, so sabai मिलेको छ कि छैन भनेर हेर्नु पर्यो, and its logic. Finally, last thing चाहिँ logic. So logic मा के पर्छ त? So is this the correct information I have to show to my audience? जस्तो हैन. So is this a right document भनेर हामीले चेक गर्न सक्छौं हैन. So we check, and then to ensure it addresses the subject and audience. So why do we do macro editing? We do macro editing in order to ensure it addresses the subject and audience. So the subject, so whatever the subject we are writing on, we have to check if the document is according to the subject. So if it's not related to the subject, then it's not good, right? It's not correct. We have to edit it. Ani next, audience. So if it addresses the audience, so if it does not address the targeted audience, then that's not correct. So we have to edit it according to the targeted audience. So we do macro editing in order to ensure it addresses the subject and it addresses the audience. So finally, you should be familiar with the type of document, its subject matter, the company producing the document in order to edit the document effectively at a macro level. So when you want to edit your document at a macro level भनेको चाहिँ के पर्छ भने चाहिँ it has to be familiar. So अब त्यो डकुमेन्ट कस्तो audience को लागि दिन लाको भनेर तिमी चाहिँ you have to be familiar. So you have to make sure that it is for the right type of document. So it is for the right audience and the type of document is for that audience. So it's subject matter, right? अघि पनि भनिसके मैले subject र audience को कुरा. It's subject matter. So it has to be related to whatever company you're writing for, whatever audience you are writing for. So its subject matter needs to be relevant to whatever you are producing. So with the type of document, subject matter, the company producing the document in order to edit the document. So it has to, of a type of document, subject matter, company producing it. So these things have to be in line. So they have to be connected, right? So when you're editing at a macro level, it has to make sense to whatever you are writing about. So whatever audience you are writing for, so whatever company you are writing for, त्यो चाहिँ सबै मिलेको हुनु पर्यो रे हैन. Macro editing भनेको चाहिँ. So macro is a type of editing. So next, micro editing. So these are the two types of editing. So macro and micro. So अब macro भनेको चाहिँ it has to be on the subject, it has to be for the right audience, and it has to be for the right company. So whatever company we are representing, whatever company we are writing the document for, we are editing the document for, it has to be aligned, hey? Next, micro editing. So micro is also called copy editing or line editing. So what we can understand from this is line editing. See, we have to go line by line, micro editing. So macro as a whole, we were looking at the document as a whole, but in micro we are looking at the document line by line. So it's also called copy editing or line editing. So it involves necessary revisions to individual sentences or graphics. So micro editing we look at sentences. So even के अरे ग्रामर्स यस्तोहरू सबै योमा पर्छ है ग्रामर अनि स्पेलिङ यस्तोहरू सबै पर्छ यो माइक्रोमा चाहिँ so it involves revision to individual sentences or graphics. Even graphics, you have obviously technical document graphics पनि हुन्छ. So we have to make sure that the graphic is correct, right, हैन सबै कुरा मिलेको छ कि छैन भनेर we check from, we edit from micro editing. So editing is done word by word and line by line. So even word by word as well as line by line. So this is एकदमै अब यो टाइपको एडिटिङ चाहिँ एकदमै भित्रै अब कस्तो भने अब it's like we are यो चाहिँ अब एकदमै सानो कुरादेखि सानो कुरा सबै हेर्नुपर्ने भनेको जस्तो भयो हैन माइक्रोमा चाहिँ. सो म्याक्रोमा चाहिँ वी वर लुकिङ एट द होल कन्टेक्स्ट. माइक्रोमा चाहिँ सानो कुराबाटै हेर्नु पर्यो अब यो होल डकुमेन्ट चाहिँ. So what do you think? So do you think micro editing is better or macro editing is better? Which editing do you think is important for which do you think is important for technical documents? No clue. So both have to be done, eh? So both are important. Microle सानो कुराहरु सबै करेक्ट गर्न सक्छ. Microle as a context, as a whole, it has to make sure that it is correct. So obviously you need both equally, both are equally important. So editor checks the complexity level to make sure the text in document is represented in an appropriate level to match the complexity level of readers. So yoma ke pani parcha bhane according to your audience, whatever sentence you are using, whatever word you are using, that has to be appropriate for the audience. So suppose you're writing, the document is for a kid and you can't use big words. So you need to use simple, easy words so that the words can be understood or the sentences can be understood by a kid, right? And obviously the same thing goes with our bachelor level. Suppose for example example, so bachelor level students को लागि document लेखिरहेछ भने you have to use appropriate words or sentences for a bachelor level student. अब तिमीहरू ठुलो 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 स्टुडेन्टहरुको लागि अलिकति डिफरेन्ट वर्ड्स सेन्टेन्सेस युज गर्न मिल्छ हैन सो the same words and sentences used for you guys and the same sentences and words used for school ma padne students like it's not going to be the same right so it has to be different so according to the audience so त्यो पनि यो micro editing मा check गर्न पर्छ है so the sentences and words should be according to the audience's needs so what the audience understands so finally editor also checks for correctness in sentence structure grammar spelling and punctuation so even these small things like grammar spelling even punctuations these are edited in micro editing right so these are the two editings so any question on these no question okay so next the role of technical editor so what roles does a technical editor have so अघिको चाहिँ टाइप्स भयो कस्तो यो माइक्रो एडिटिङमा कस्तो एडिटिङहरु ह्यान्डल गर्छ त माइक्रो एडिटिङमा कस्तो एडिटिङ ह्यान्डल गर्छ त भन्ने भयो हैन सो अब चाहिँ टेक्निकल एडिटरले के गर्छ त भनेर these are the roles so very basic things so first is improving text material हैन so whatever we have already discussed in macro and micro editing basically that's what a technical editor has to do so it falls of a role of a technical editor whatever things you get in macro and micro okay mistake beta bhani yo duita ma that's what a technical editor has to edit so obviously improving text material so editor determines how appropriate the content is for the audience and the organization so editor makes the document concise and clear by editing the tone and words used by the writer so technical editor has to improve the words the sentences to make sure the to make sure the document is clear to make sure the document is concise and obviously for the correct audience so that's what a technical editor does next he does what he or she does is examine graphics for appropriateness and balance so editor also helps the task of selecting naming and numbering of graphics as well as placing them in suitable context so sometimes if graphics or whatever table something त्यो सबै कुरा अलि ठीक छैन भने एडिटरले के गर्छ त he or she will fix that अनि selecting naming and numbering of graphics so I've already discussed with you whatever graphics you use you have to name them you have to number them but if there's only one then you don't have to number them but if there's a lot suppose for example you're writing a 10-page report so if there's a lot of graphics then it's always better if you name number those graphics so for example your page my दुई तीनटा graphics हालेछ हैन images हालेछ so you have to refer when you're writing तिम्रो टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ you have to refer to the image. So when you refer to the image or graphic, then it's always better if the graphic is numbered so that you can refer to that graphic. For example, तीनटा graphics छ एउटा पेजमा. So 1 2 3 1 अनि तिम्रो graphic के हो नेम दिएछौ, 2 graphic के हो नेम दिएछौ रे, 3 graphic के हो नेम दिएछौ रे. So when you are describing that graphic, so suppose you're describing number 2 graphic, so what you can write is in the, suppose for example it's a table, in the table 2 we can see that blah blah blah, हैन. So it makes the users, or sorry, the readers understand तिमीले चाहिँ कुन टेबल कि त कुन ग्राफिकको कुरा गरेछौ भनेर तिम्रो रिपोर्टमा they will understand it easily, right? So that's what technical editor also does. So he or she will check if the graphics are numbered, if the graphics are named, and even where to place them, right? So whatever graphics you put, it's always better to place them near where you are referring to the graphic, and so it's always better to place them in a correct place. So if that's not the case, then the technical editor ले चाहिँ के गर्छ भने त्यो ग्राफिकलाई चाहिँ मिलाएर राख्दिन्छ है. Next, identifying sections that need better development. So this is like a macro editing ko kura ayo jastै लाग्यो है मलाई चाहिँ. So it identifies sections that needs better development. So checks each section for logic and completeness. So the editor will make sure that each and every paragraph or each and every section is according to the subject, according to the logic, according to the audience. So that's what technical editor does, right? This is a very basic thing. I'm sure even you guys would do this when you're, even if you don't do this when you in your assignments, if you didn't do this editing in your last assignment, it's always better you do it. So I hope you do it in this coming your Lego assignment. I hope you check. So improve text material, check. So examine graphics, check. For appropriateness and balance, check. So identify sections that need better development, check. So you sabai timro editing ma check hunu paryo है. So make sure you follow this role of a technical editor. So last यो युनिटको last thing is proofreading. So proofreading भनेको के हो त? It's checking if whatever the document is correct. So careful proofreading can ensure that a printed document is correct and attractive. So after you're done writing your document, then proofreading गर्नुपर्छ. Proofreading मा चाहिँ तिमीले के भेटाउँछौ? So even after you did the editing, हैन, suppose तिमीले word by word सबै चेक गर्यो रे, अब लास्टमा के गर्नु पर्यो त? माथिदेखि तल फर्स्ट देखि लास्ट proofread गर्नु पर्यो, चेक गर्नु पर्यो. अनि you have to make sure that it is correct and it is looking attractive. So it has to be attractive as well. है, तिम्रो format मिलेको हुनु पर्यो, तिम्रो fonts मिलेको हुनु पर्यो. So whatever the document requires, त्यो सबै मिलेको हुनु पर्यो है. So it creates a good impression of the company. So of course, if the format, if the document is looking attractive, then it creates a good impression. तिमीको असाइनमेन्टमा पनि फर्म्याट यस्तो अब रिपोर्ट स्ट्रक्चर यिनीहरुको मार्क्स हुन्छ नि, हैन? So that's very important. So proofreaders' work is not to edit but to correct the errors in documentary. So suppose you have a job of proofreading, suppose for example. So what you do in proofreading is, as a proofreader, what you do is you don't edit it. So edit चाहिँ कसले गर्छ त, एडिटरले गर्छ हैन. So proofreaderले के मात्र गर्छ त, you have to correct the errors in the document. भनेको you have to make sure that the errors are corrected. So केही एरर देखिहाल्यो भने ल यो करेक्ट गर्नुपर्छ है भनेर अब मार्क गरिदिने भयो हैन. So that's what a proofreader does. So
Hello. Wait.
huh?
Sorry to interrupt you. अनि के रे one quick question. के रे यो उसमा कतिवटा लेयर हुन्छ र भन्नाले जस्तै सुरुबाट माथिसम्म कतिवटा लेयरको आउँछ एडिटर प्रुफ रिडिङ अनि को भने जस्तो हैन त बेसबाट चाहिँ माथि जस्ता हायरार्कीको हिसाबमा जाँदाखेरि या त अब जस्तै हुन्छ नि त्यो उसमा चाहिँ कतिवटा हुन्छ र यसमा बुझ्नुभयो क्वेसन
भन्नाले you mean after you have done your document
हवलदार हुन्छ अनि के रे सही हुन्छ रे असही हुन्छ रे हैन त्यो समथिङ हैन अनि
in this unit we are just talking about editing and proofreading.
So the whole thing is done by the same person then?
So there's editor and then there's a proofreader.
Is that a two different person or the same person doing the both job?
It can be same person as well, but I think mostly there's if you are working in a big company, of course there's going to be editor पनि हुन्छ, proofreader पनि हुन्छ हैन, a writer different हुन्छ. But for your अब तिमीहरुको assignment को लागि,
okay, just hold on a second.
Guys, of course you are the technical writer, you are the technical editor, you are the proofreader. So तिमीहरुलाई चाहिँ सबै कुरा तिमीहरु नै हो.
Alright, let's talk about a big company. Okay, so like say like if a big company wants to hire a writer editor, then like how many people they would offer a job then? Like, do they have like specific for proofreading or for some editing?
Big companies ma huncha yesto.
How many people do they like? How many sort of department do they have then?
Department भन्नाले कस्तो department? Of course.
Proofreading department, writer department, editing department.
Department भन्दा पनि proofreader एउटा भयो हैन, editor एउटा भयो, त्यस्तो हुन्छ. The department अब of course this is a यो त सबै एउटै department मा पर्यो नि हैन. Technical document बनाउनेको तीनजना मान्छे हुन्छ भनौं न. अब suppose
okay, for instance then let's say like we a company wants to write a manual of some product. And like how many people would they hire to write and get that job done for a manual?
यस्तो हो के, big companies they always have a technical writer, they always have an editor, they always have a proofreader. Big companies we are talking about, they don't only produce one manual and they have to produce so many manuals. उनीहरुको एकदमै धेरै technical documents हुन्छ. It's not only about manual, it's even about a project. When you do contracts. when you make a project, when you make, for example, IT ke kura garau, when you make an application, there's so many writings and documents and documentations that a technical writer has to do हैन. So as a big company तिमीहरुलाई चाहिने बेलामा मात्रै हायर गरेर मिल्दैन है. So they have in-house technical writer, in-house technical editor, in-house proofreader, so they have everything. So our big companies, they have all these things. So but if we are thinking about a very small company, then मैले भनिसके अघि one person, I think, has to do all. Right? So for example, even you guys, of course, you're not going to hire a technical editor or technical proofreader for your assignment. Of course not. So what you have to do, you have to write yourself, you have to edit yourself, you have to proofread yourself. So that's what happens. अब तिमीलाई तिम्रो क्वेशन यति नै हो कि मैले तिम्रो क्वेशन अलि राम्रोसँग बुझेको पनि छैन, तिमीले के कुरा खोज्न कोशिश गरेको मैले राम्रोसँग बुझिन. So you wanted to know that if big companies hire these 3 different professions भनेर सोधेको हैन?
Yeah.
So yes, so they do.
How many people in particular? Or
How
precisely?
people how many people but of course it depends on the company itself. So for example, if अब हामीले यो वर्ल्डकै सबभन्दा बिगेस्ट कम्पनी Amazon को कुरा गरे नि, do you think there's only one proofreader and there's only one technical writer and there's only one technical editor? No. I'm sure there's कति 50 जनै हुन्छ होला उनीहरुको, because it's not only manual they create, they have to create so many things. So there's a lot of technical writing that goes on in big companies. Even the उनीहरुको वेबसाइटमा केही लेखेको कुराहरु हुन्छ नि, अब even for example एउटा Amazonमा एउटा product छ हैन, so product description हुन्छ त्यहाँ हैन, so even those things are done by technical writer. So obviously when technical writer does that, then technical editor edits that. So after technical editor edits that, then proofreader has to check if that is fine to go in the website. So big companies, they have, and of course they need as well. So these are the things that they do before publishing anything. Even a एउटा short sentence publish गर्न पनि उनीहरुले सबै हुन्छ, यो writer, editor, proofreader यो सबै हुन्छ है. तो बुझ्यौ? बुझ्यौ? No? Yes, no? कहाँ गयो? हरायो?
Thanks for your answer.
So बुझ्यौ? Yes.
Sort of.
Sort of.
म्याडम यो स्टेप्सहरु के हुन्छ नि, एउटा टेक्निकल डकुमेन्ट रेडी गर्नको लागि स्टेप्सहरु के हुन्छ नि, त्यो सुरुमा चाहिँ लेख्ने होला, अनि एडिटिङ अनि प्रुफिङ कसरी आउँछ यिनीहरु?
राइटर भयो, and this is editor huncha, and this is proofreader huncha. And again, what does it say? So proofreaders don't edit, and they just correct the errors. They just point out that these are the errors in the document. So again, if there's errors, then of course it has to be edited. So again, it goes to the editor. So editor has to edit it. So that's what happens. तिमीहरुले पनि तिमीहरु आफ्नै एक्जाम्पल सोच न, केही लेखेपछि तिमीहरुले यसो पढ्छौ हैन. So if there's any error, of course you go back to edit it.
लास्टमा ओके डन यो फाइनल भयो भनेर गर्ने चाहिँ कसले हो म्याम?
Proofreader. So proofreader ensures that a printed document is correct and attractive. So if the proofreader thinks that it's not correct and it's not attractive, then what has to be done? It has to be corrected. So who corrects the errors? Editor. So when you think about it, I feel like you guys think that technical writing चाहिँ अब it's not a big thing जस्तो लाग्छ होला तर even big companies like applications जुन तिमीहरूले use गर्छौ obviously, so whoever makes those applications they only do the coding, so whoever does the coding does not do the writing. I think you guys think that whoever does the coding does the writing, does the editing, does everything, right? So that's not how that works.
कोड लेख्दाखेरि त त्यही नै त हुन्छ नि के अरे कोड गर्दाखेरि उनीहरूले लेख्छ अनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ मिस्टेक हुन्छ उनीहरू आफै एडिट गर्छ फेरि प्रोग्रामको फेरि कोड
कोडिङ त्यही त कोडिङको कुरा मात्रै गर्छ कि उनीहरूले बट applications are not just coding. Even to produce an application, there's a lot of documents that need to be made. So I think, I don't know if you've already done the subject or not, system analysis. So system analysis and design is the subject तिमीहरूको पढेछ? तिमीहरूले अरु सब्जेक्टहरु के पढिरहेछ? So coders' work is only to code. So there's so many people behind a coding person. System analysis भन्ने सब्जेक्टमा तिमीहरूले पढ्छ है यो. So what that subject teaches is that when you are making a system or when you are making a project, then there's not only one person who does the whole project or who does the whole system. Even project for example, अब सानो प्रोजेक्ट छ भने त अब नेपालको सानो एउटा प्रोजेक्ट छ भने त of course I think to अब बजेटको लागि होला हैन, maybe because of budget and everything. So of course I think one person would do many things, हैन. But if you are in a very big company and if you are making a very big system, then that's not the case. But